For many long centuries throughout the Middle Ages, the entire European intellectual landscape remained culturally isolated and geographically fragmented. Traditional histories define the Renaissance as a rebirth, a period focused on the revival of classical art and literature. But the period represents a structural transition in how humanity processes information. The operational system of the Middle Ages relied on top-down deductive reasoning, where knowledge was filtered through the lens of theological compliance and dogma. This was replaced by an inductive system, a framework built on direct observation, skepticism, and empirical inquiry. Three variables accelerated this shift: a sudden influx of ancient data, highly concentrated venture capital, and revolutionary distribution technology. These factors combined to move human thought from a world of inherited tradition to a system centered on independent, verifiable discovery. While Western Europe remained intellectually stagnant, the Eastern Roman Empire acted as a massive data vault, preserving centuries of classical Greek and Roman knowledge. That vault opened in 1453, when the Ottoman Turks captured Constantinople, causing a massive geopolitical shock to the existing world order. The result was an immediate mass migration. Scholars like Manuel Chrysoloras fled the city, carrying ancient manuscripts westward into Europe. This map traces the routes taken by these scholars as they carried ancient wisdom into the Italian peninsula. They were drawn to wealthy Italian city-states, urban environments that were physically built upon the ruins of ancient Roman civilization. Florence became the primary incubation chamber. It offered a dense, competitive urban space ready to absorb and refine this influx of information. Funding this transition was a high concentration of venture capital. Banking families like the Medici used their immense wealth to patronize arriving scholars and commission new intellectual works. The displacement of ancient data, combined with this concentrated capital, created the catalyst for a new intellectual system. This new system first emerged in literature. Writing transformed from an elite theological exercise into a democratized medium. Dante's Divine Comedy and Boccaccio's Decameron utilized the vernacular, the Italian spoken by common people, to make complex humanistic ideas accessible to a wider audience. In visual art, the transition prioritized individual identity and the mechanics of the natural world. Artists replaced flat, symbolic religious depictions with mathematically precise representations of the human form. Michelangelo's David features visible veins and accurate muscle tension, proving that the work was based on direct biological observation rather than established tradition. Leonardo da Vinci embodied this method. He integrated engineering and biological study directly into his artistic process, refusing to silo his different disciplines. Techniques like sfumato and the inclusion of realistic natural backgrounds in the Mona Lisa firmly grounded his subjects in the observable world. Raphael applied this logic to traditional religious subjects, integrating realistic human emotion and spatial harmony into scenes that were previously purely divine abstractions. This artistic shift served as the testing ground for the scientific method, replacing dogmatic reproduction with the rigorous observation of physical reality. Despite these advances, the early Renaissance faced a critical bottleneck. Manual transcription limited the speed and reach of new ideas to those who could afford hand-copied books. This bottleneck was broken by a mechanical solution. Johann Gutenberg's printing press shifted text reproduction from slow, localized labor to mass manufacturing. The press was used to produce the Gutenberg Bible, standardizing and distributing the period's most central text at a previously impossible scale. The technology proliferated rapidly. As this chart shows, the volume of printed material exploded outward from Germany across the entire continent. This network decentralized information, placing classical texts and scientific data directly into the hands of the public in England, France, and Spain. This newfound accessibility fueled a flourishing of secular, humanistic literature throughout Europe. It allowed writers like Cervantes and William Shakespeare to explore the human condition for a mass audience in their own native languages. The printing press permanently ended the institutional monopoly on knowledge, creating the first truly mass-informed public. The observational skills developed by artists were now applied to human biology and the study of the cosmos. In medicine, the move toward direct observation led to the breaking of traditional taboos against dissection, allowing physicians to map the body accurately. This drawing by Vesalius shows the direct application of artistic realism to biological mapping, replacing old medical theories with observed evidence. Philosophers like Francis Bacon formalized this approach through the inductive method, while René Descartes championed systemic doubt as a tool for inquiry. This logic reached its most controversial point in astronomy, where Copernicus used mathematical observation to displace the Earth from the center of the universe. The heliocentric theory upended centuries of theological certainty by placing the Sun at the center of the solar system. These early telescopes provided the hardware necessary to verify the theory through direct physical observation of the planets. Johannes Kepler subsequently used mathematical data to track planetary motion, proving that the universe followed predictable physical laws. This chain of empirical inquiry culminated with Isaac Newton, who synthesized these observations into the universal laws of motion and gravitation. The same observational methods tested by painters in Florence had successfully evolved into the mathematical equations used to decode the physical universe. The entire era functioned as a compounding feedback loop of discovery. We can trace a direct path from the first humanists to the printing press and finally to the peak of the scientific revolution. These breakthroughs led to practical tools like the compass and advanced navigation, translating intellectual discovery into physical movement. This world map reflects the result. The Age of Discovery reshaped global economics and expanded geographical awareness through new trade routes. The same spirit of inquiry fueled the Reformation's questioning of religious authority and the rise of modern nation-states as feudalism declined. This era unleashed a powerful momentum of human inquiry that pushed outward across the globe and never retreated. By establishing reason and independent discovery as its central engine, the Renaissance permanently changed the trajectory of the modern world.